You have good days and bad days, don't you? There are days when the pain is just a distant memory, a muffled echo. On those days, you sit without thinking, go to the bathroom without the anxiety knot in your stomach, and for a moment, life seems normal. It's easy in those moments of respite to believe that the problem is under control, that maybe it's even going away on its own. But what if I told you that this feeling of relief is the most dangerous illusion of all? What if I told you that your hemorrhoid is not a static problem, like an old scar, but rather an active and dynamic process that is getting worse in silence, day after day even, and especially when you feel no pain? That is the uncomfortable truth that few people tell you. Silence, in this case, does not mean healing. Silence is the sound of your veins weakening. It is the sound of chronic inflammation undermining your defenses. It is the sound of the problem deepening its roots, preparing for the next crisis, which will invariably be more intense, longer, and more difficult to resolve than the previous one. Stay with me, because in this frank conversation, we're going to break that cycle of silence and illusion. I'm not here to give you false hope or quick fixes. I'm here to give you the truth and a real battle plan. I'm going to reveal 6 specific foods that work not in isolation, but as a coordinated, intelligent rescue team. Their goal is not just to temporarily relieve your symptoms, but to actively halt this silent progression and attack the 3 fundamental roots of the problem. Let's dive deep into how to rebuild the very architecture of your veins, how to transform the nature of what passes through your gut from an aggressor to a protector, and how to finally extinguish a hidden inflammatory fire that consumes your healing capacity and steals your energy. I know this journey intimately, not just from books, but from the hundreds of worried faces that have sat across from me. The story is almost always the same. It starts with a little discomfort, an irritating itch, a blood stain on the toilet paper that causes a startle. Over time, it turns into a sharp pain, a feeling of bloating that won't go away. You start avoiding activities that once gave you pleasure. A long car trip becomes a source of anxiety and meticulous planning. A dinner out is calculated not by the menu, but by the quality of the chairs. The fear of a simple trip to the bathroom can cast a shadow over your entire day before it even begins. And in the back of your mind, there is an even greater fear, one you hardly dare to verbalize, the fear that the only way out is surgery, with all the pain, recovery time, and uncertainty that it entails. This progression is no accident. It is the direct result of treating only the visible symptoms, the tip of the iceberg, while the underlying causes, the fragile veins, chronic inflammation, and digestive imbalance, continue to worsen silently in the depths. The good news, the real hope, is that you can intervene right now. You can stop this silent march, and the power to do so begins, surprisingly and elegantly, on your plate. The way we're going to approach this today is different. This isn't a random list of superfoods. It's a military strategy. Each food has a specific targeted mission, and by understanding each one's mission, you will cease to be a victim of your condition and become the commander of your recovery. The first pillar, the foundation upon which the entire problem rests, is vascular fragility. Hemorrhoids are, in essence, varicose veins in the most inconvenient location possible. They are veins that have dilated because their walls have lost their strength and elasticity. But why do they weaken? Factors such as chronic pressure from sitting or standing, straining to evacuate, and genetics all play a role. But one factor that is under your complete control is the nutrition you provide to keep those vein walls strong and resilient. Imagine your veins as the walls of a dam holding back a powerful river. If the concrete of the dam is high quality, reinforced with steel, it can withstand fluctuations in water pressure without any problems. But if the material is weak, porous, full of micro cracks, any increase in pressure can cause seepage, a bulge, or, in the worst case, a rupture. Most people focus obsessively on reducing the water pressure, the effort to evacuate, which is important, but they completely ignore the vital need to repair and strengthen the concrete of the dam itself. Without this, the structure is doomed to fail repeatedly, each time with greater damage. This weakening process is slow and insidious. You don't feel it happening on a day-to-day basis until a little extra effort, a more stressful day, increases the pressure and the pain explodes. That's why the first two foods on our list have a very clear mission: to be the repair engineers of your vascular dam. They provide the essential building materials to make your veins stronger, more elastic, and less reactive from the inside out. They interrupt the cycle of silent weakening before it inevitably leads to the next painful crisis. If this idea that the problem is getting worse in silence, even when you don't feel anything, has already lit a light for you and given you a new and urgent perspective, then I urge you to do something for yourself and for this channel. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. My commitment to you is to go beyond the superficial, to bring you these truths that form the basis of true healing. You don't want to miss out on knowledge that could be the key to your freedom. The first food recommended by our rescue team, focused on vascular integrity, is the well-known and widely celebrated red and dark fruits: blueberries, blackberries, cherries, raspberries, and even dark grapes. Their mission is to provide a constant and abundant supply of flavonoids and anthocyanins. As I have already explained, these compounds are the master builders of your vascular system. They work in synergy with vitamin C, also present in these fruits, to strengthen collagen bonds. Collagen is the protein that forms the structural matrix, the steel mesh within the concrete of your vein walls. When this mesh is strong and dense, your veins are elastic and resilient. When it weakens, your veins become flaccid and prone to dilation. In addition, these pigments are powerful antioxidants that neutralize oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is like a form of rust at the cellular level, which damages the cells of the vein walls and accelerates their aging and weakening. Eating a handful of these fruits every day is like sending a daily maintenance crew to inspect, repair the steel mesh, and apply an anti-rust treatment to your dam. But now, let's add a highly skilled specialist to this team. Our second food is buckwheat. Many people are unfamiliar with it, but from a vascular health standpoint, it's an underrated powerhouse. Buckwheat, to be clear, is not a wheat. It's the seed of a fruit, so it's gluten-free and incredibly nutritious. Its secret weapon, its specialty, is a specific flavonoid called rutin. If the flavonoids in red fruits are the general maintenance crew, rutin is the structural integrity engineer. Rutin has been studied extensively for its remarkable ability to strengthen capillaries and, crucially, reduce vascular permeability. Think of it this way. If the walls of your veins are the dam, the capillaries are the small channels and floodgates. If they are overly permeable, they leak fluid, proteins, and red blood cells into the surrounding tissues. It is this leakage that causes swelling, edema, the feeling of heaviness, and the inflammation that fuels the pain cycle. Rutin acts as a high-tech sealing agent for these tiny channels, making them less likely to leak and swell, even under pressure. A classic study published in the European Journal of Clinical Pharmacology demonstrated that compounds such as rutin can significantly improve the symptoms of chronic venous insufficiency, which is the core problem of hemorrhoids, by reducing pain, cramping, and edema. By adding buckwheat to your diet, you are providing your body with a sealing expert that works in perfect synergy with the general repair team found in red fruits. I remember a patient, Anna, a dedicated teacher who spent most of her day on her feet, a profession that, unfortunately, puts constant and relentless hydrostatic pressure on the veins in the lower body. She would tell me, in a tired voice, "Doctor, I eat my salad, I drink my water, but at the end of each day, my legs feel heavy, and I feel pressure in my rectal area that is simply exhausting. It's like I'm carrying extra weight." It's not a sharp pain, it's a constant discomfort that robs me of my energy. It was the silent process at work. The constant pressure was stretching and weakening her veins. We introduced a strategic change. She swapped her morning toast for cooked buckwheat porridge, kasha, and added a generous handful of frozen blueberries. 2 or 3 times a week, she swapped out the rice at dinner for buckwheat. A few weeks later, the change was palpable. "The heaviness feeling is gone," she said. "I'm still on my feet all day, but I feel lighter. The bloating has decreased, and the bleeding, which was sporadic, has simply stopped." She hadn't changed her workload, but she had strengthened the structure to support it. The practical application, a generous handful, about a cup of berries a day, is an excellent start. For buckwheat, the options are vast. Cook it like rice, use the flour to make bread or pancakes, or add the toasted grains, kasha, to soups and salads. Now that our dam is being actively repaired and sealed, we need to ensure that the river flowing through it is as smooth and gentle as possible. And that brings us to the second pillar, the intrinsic quality of your stool. Have you ever stopped to think about the quality of what passes through your gut, and not just the frequency? Which of these 2 foods for vascular health was most surprising to you? The sealing expert, buckwheat, or the well-known repairer, red fruits? Tell me in the comments. Your sharing helps us all learn and realize that we are not alone in this. Now that we are actively rebuilding the walls of our veins, let's focus on the second insidious cause of silent progression, the quality and consistency of your stool. Most people focus only on going to the bathroom, on regularity. But how you go is infinitely more important than when. Stools that are hard, dry, fragmented, or too bulky act like sandpaper on the extremely sensitive anal mucosa and already inflamed hemorrhoidal veins. Each passage becomes a traumatic event that causes microfissures, irritation, pain, and bleeding. Even if you are not making a Herculean effort, the very passage of poor quality stool perpetuates the vicious cycle of inflammation and prevents any attempt at healing. It is a silent, daily aggressor. Your ultimate goal is not just regularity, it's what I call ghost evacuation. A bowel movement so smooth, complete, and effortless that moments later you almost forget it happened. And to achieve this ideal, our rescue team needs 2 experts in hydration and gelatinous mass formation. Our third food is the humble and often underrated pear. The pear is an absolute star for a combination of 2 reasons. First, as we know, it is rich in a perfect blend of soluble and insoluble fiber, which provides bulk and softness. But its real secret weapon, its superpower, is its sorbitol and fructose content. Sorbitol is a natural sugar alcohol that the human body does not absorb efficiently. Instead of entering the bloodstream, it travels to the colon and acts as an osmotic agent. Osmosis is a simple physical principle. Water moves from an area of lower solute concentration to an area of higher solute concentration. Upon reaching the colon, sorbitol creates a higher concentration of solutes, actively pulling water from the intestinal walls into the stool. Think of it as an internal humidifier that infuses moisture into your stool, making it heavier, in a good way, from water, and much softer. Many over-the-counter laxatives work on this same osmotic principle, but pears offer it in a natural and gentle form, packed with vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. Eating 1 ripe, juicy pear a day, always with the skin on, where much of the fiber and phytonutrients reside, can dramatically change the texture of your stool. Our fourth food is the undisputed champion of gel formation, psyllium husk. We've talked about this before, but in the context of silent progression, its role is even more critical and needs to be understood in detail. If hard stools are like sandpaper, the gel formed by psyllium is a protective and healing balm. When you consume it with an adequate amount of water, it transforms. It absorbs water and creates a thick, viscous, and incredibly smooth gel, much like aloe vera gel. This gel does two magical things. First, it envelops the stool, transforming what could be a hard, fragmented mass into a single, soft, cohesive form that slides rather than scrapes. The need for straining disappears. Second, and this is the crucial point that most people don't understand, that same gel coats the walls of your rectum and anal canal. It acts like a moving bandage, a protective, soothing layer that passes over the inflamed hemorrhoids, shielding them from any friction or chemical irritation from fecal matter. It actively protects the hemorrhoids during each bowel movement, finally giving them the peaceful, low-friction environment they need to heal. This protective action is what breaks the cycle of daily micro-traumas that silently worsen your condition. Here, my responsibility as a doctor requires me to be emphatically clear about correct use. With psyllium, the how is more important than the what. Always start with a small dose, half a teaspoon in a large glass filled with water, at least 300–350 ml, and mix vigorously and drink immediately before it turns into a thick gel in the glass. Increase gradually over a week or two to a full teaspoon. Not enough water can cause it to clump in your system and, ironically, make constipation worse. If you have a history of intestinal blockages, recent intestinal surgery, or severe inflammatory conditions such as active Crohn's disease, it is imperative that you speak with your doctor before starting psyllium. For the vast majority of people, however, it is the safest and most effective tool for achieving perfect bowel movements. The combination of the pair's osmotic hydration and the protective gel of psyllium creates the ideal synergy to calm an irritated bowel and allow healing to occur. Now our veins are being strengthened and our stools have become soft and protective. We are making huge progress. But one final and crucial piece of the puzzle is missing: the invisible fire that burns inside. The third and final pillar that supports the silent progression of hemorrhoids is low-grade chronic inflammation. Think of it as an ember slowly burning in the foundations of your house. You may not see the flames, but it's there, damaging the structure, weakening the materials, and making the entire house unstable and ready to collapse at the slightest sign of trouble. Even on your good days, this inflammation is present in your body, preventing tissue from healing completely, further weakening the vein walls, and setting the stage for the next acute flare-up. This inflammation doesn't just come from local mechanical irritation. It's often systemic, meaning it affects your entire body. It's fueled by chronic stress, a diet high in processed foods and sugar, lack of sleep, and, crucially, an imbalance in your gut ecosystem. To truly win the battle and not just fight the symptoms, you need to put out this fire. And for that, we've recruited our two latest and most sophisticated rescue team members, the firefighter and the restoration ecologist. Our fifth food, the firefighter, is ginger, fresh, vibrant, and spicy. Ginger is one of nature's most potent and well-studied anti-inflammatory substances. Its active compounds, mainly gingerols, don't work in a generic way. They work at a molecular level to inhibit the same biochemical pathways, such as the COX and LOX pathways, that many over-the-counter anti-inflammatory drugs target. It's like sending in an elite firefighting team that knows exactly which fuel valves to shut off to extinguish the fire at its source. Robust scientific studies, such as those published in journals like the Journal of Medicinal Food, have shown that ginger can significantly reduce inflammatory markers in the body. Adding fresh ginger to your daily routine, whether as a soothing hot tea, finely grated in stir-fries, or blended into smoothies, helps reduce pain, swelling, and redness locally, and also fights the systemic inflammation that prevents your long-term recovery. Our sixth and final food, the ecologist, is kefir, or alternatively, a high-quality unsweetened natural yogurt. Its mission is the most profound of all: to restore your gut ecosystem, your microbiome. Your gut is home to trillions of microorganisms, and their balance is the foundation of your health. An imbalance, called dysbiosis, where bad or inflammatory bacteria proliferate, is one of the main causes of chronic low-grade inflammation. Fermented foods such as kefir are rich in probiotics, the good strains of bacteria. These probiotics do much more than just aid digestion. They actively compete with bad bacteria for space and resources. More importantly, they interact with your immune system and metabolize the fiber you eat to produce magical compounds called short-chain fatty acids, such as butyrate. Butyrate is the main source of energy for the cells lining your colon, helping to keep the intestinal barrier strong and healthy. And crucially, butyrate has extremely potent anti-inflammatory effects, calming the immune system in the gut. By consuming kefir or plain yogurt, you are executing a reforestation project in your gut, repopulating it with allies that work around the clock to create a calm, healing internal environment. For those with lactose intolerance, water kefir is an excellent non-dairy alternative that offers similar probiotic benefits. I remember David, a long-haul truck driver. His lifestyle was a recipe for disaster: constant stress, long hours sitting down, an irregular diet of convenience foods. His hemorrhoids were a chronic torment that affected his work and his mood. He felt perpetually bloated, tired, and sore. We started a simple protocol that he could follow on the road. A bottle of water infused with fresh ginger slices that he drank throughout the day, and a small glass of kefir every morning before he left. The transformation over the course of a month was remarkable. He told me, "Doctor, it wasn't just the pain and bleeding that decreased dramatically. It was the mental fog that lifted. I have more energy. I feel less bloated and lighter. It's as if my whole system has been reset." This is because by treating the inflammation and the microbiome, he wasn't just treating a symptom in his rectum, he was restoring the fundamental health of his entire body. And now, with these 6 experts, our rescue team is finally complete. We've assembled an elite team, a true task force for your health. We have red berries and buckwheat rebuilding and sealing your vascular infrastructure. We have pears and psyllium transforming your stool into a smooth, protective passage. And we have ginger and kefir extinguishing the fire of systemic inflammation and restoring the ecological balance of your gut. This is a comprehensive, synergistic, and powerful battle plan. It is the strategy I would outline for a patient right here in my office to achieve lasting remission, not just temporary relief. But as we look at the totality of this plan, a practical and undeniable reality imposes itself, and I, as your doctor and guide, must honestly acknowledge it to you. Managing this every day, ensuring the freshness and variety of fruits, cooking buckwheat, having perfectly ripe pears on hand, peeling and preparing fresh ginger, ensuring the quality and viability of kefir, and measuring psyllium with absolute precision, is a significant commitment. It is, let's be frank, almost a part-time job. And real life, with its relentless demands, stress, unexpected trips, and surprises, can make executing this plan perfectly a daily challenge and, at times, overwhelming. One missed day turns into 2, and before you know it, the silent cycle of backsliding can find a crack to start again. The gap between knowing exactly what to do and having the ability to do it consistently, day after day, is the chasm where most people, with the best of intentions, get lost. That is precisely why my role as your advisor does not end when I hand you the battle plan. My role ends when I ensure that you have the simplest, safest, and most effective path to execute it. In my extensive experience, an ideal and truly sustainable approach to this condition must be based on 3 fundamental pillars. First, it must be synergistic, combining the right compounds in their most active and bioavailable forms so that they not only add up but multiply their healing effects. Second, it must be precise, providing clinically relevant dosages of each key ingredient every day without the need for guesswork or measurement. And third, and perhaps most important for your long-term health and success, it must be simple. It must fit seamlessly into your life, not become another source of stress or guilt. After seeing so many patients struggle with the complexity of putting this therapeutic puzzle together on their own, I have dedicated time to researching and evaluating a solution that incorporates these principles. To save you months or years of research, trial and error, and expense, I want to point you toward a path that has already been paved and validated. In the link I've left in the description of this video and also in the first pinned comment, you'll find my personal recommendation for an integrated protocol that encapsulates the essence and science of this entire strategy. Consider it not as a substitute for good eating habits, but as your daily nutritional insurance policy. It is a reliable shortcut that I endorse to take you from knowledge to action and relief in the most direct and safe way possible. Please understand today's deeper message. Your hemorrhoid was never the real disease. It is the symptom, the messenger, the loud and painful fire alarm that your body is desperately sounding to alert you to deeper, silent problems, weakened veins, systemic inflammation, and a gut ecosystem in disarray. Today, you have learned to decipher the message behind the alarm. You have learned that the silence of pain-free days was not peace, but a hidden danger. And most importantly, you have learned that you have a natural rescue team at your disposal, ready to act on your command. Each of the 6 foods we discussed is a powerful tool. Together, they are a transformative force. Your journey from this point forward does not need to be one of fear or uncertainty, but one of informed and deliberate action. Every meal is an opportunity to strengthen, calm, and heal. You are not broken. Your body is simply asking, in the only way it knows how, for the right resources to do its repair work. And now you know exactly what those resources are. Pain does not define who you are. It is a temporary state that can and will be changed with knowledge and consistency. Take control. Believe in your body's innate and miraculous ability to heal when you give it the right tools. The peace of mind that comes from not being afraid to sit down, from being able to play with your children on the floor, from taking a long road trip, from living your life without constantly calculating pain, is within your reach. It is your natural state, and it is time to reclaim it. If this long and detailed conversation has changed the way you view your condition, if it has given you not only hope but, more importantly, a clear and logical plan, then our time together has been a huge success. I ask you to do 2 final things. First, subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey of deep knowledge and healing together. Second, think of someone you know, a friend, a family member, a colleague, who may be silently struggling with this same problem. Share this video with that person. You could be the catalyst that changes their life, the person who finally gives them the map they need to find their way out of the forest of pain and confusion. Thank you for your trust and your precious time. Take care of yourself and always remember, informed action is your greatest and most powerful tool. See you in the next video.